I was browsing Craigslist for a bicycle. I found one that looked to be in good shape and also had a good price. I messaged the seller telling him I was interested in picking up the bike as soon as possible. They responded quickly, letting me know that I could go that night. It was already 8 p.m., and after receiving their address, it turned out to be a little over an hour away from me. I asked if they would be happy for me to pick it up tomorrow, as I was over an hour away. They texted me back saying it wouldn't be possible, as they were leaving tomorrow to go away for 2 weeks. This should have been my first red flag. Why would they put up an ad if they were about to go away for 2 weeks? Being that I really liked the bike, I agreed to go that night. I asked one of my friends to come, as it was out in the woods and I felt a little bit uneasy going there at night alone. We then left and drove out to the house. When we arrived, it was really dark outside and almost no other houses in sight. We got out of the car and approached the front door. I knocked the door and moved a few steps back. When a man opened it up, he automatically smiled at me and then had a shocked expression washed over him when he saw my friend with me. We waited for him to say something and take us where the bike was, but he just stood there looking at us blankly. I asked him where the bike was, and he said that it was down in the basement and that he was too weak to bring it up himself. At this point, it was obvious that there wasn't any bike, and this man had bad intentions by posting this ad. We both started walking back to the car, and as we got in, we saw the man still at the front door, but standing next to him were two other men, all just staring at us. We drove off as fast as we could and reported it to the police. It turned out that that house was abandoned and that they just told us it was likely a group of homeless men using Craigslist as a way of luring people out there to rob them. To this day, I'm so grateful that my friend was able to come with me that night. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have survived that. I had a small coffee table that I wanted to give away. I posted an ad on Craigslist offering anyone to come and pick up the table for free. I got a response from a man named Steve. He said he liked the table a lot and wanted to come and pick it up today. I gave him my address and he texted me saying he will be over later. I said no problem. About 3 hours later, it was nearing 7 p.m. and I texted Steve because he still hadn't shown up. He responded quickly saying he was at a friend's house and he would be over later tonight. I told him that was too late, as I had to wake up tomorrow. I asked him if he could come tomorrow afternoon, and he said no problem. Around 11 o'clock, I got ready for bed, and as I turned off the light and closed my eyes, I started hearing a noise downstairs. I got up and went to the doorway of my bedroom to hear the sound better. I could tell it was coming from the front door, and something was scraping the door handle. Because it was completely dark in my house, I was able to walk to my living room and look out the window to see the front door. I couldn't believe what I saw, a dark figure with a hood up standing in front of my door trying to pick the lock. I called the police and told them the situation. About 2 minutes later, a nearby patrol car pulled outside my house. I couldn't see everything because it was so dark, but I did hear the police screaming "get on the ground" to somebody. After they arrested the man, an officer knocked on my door. I spoke with the officer and he told me to install some security devices in my house, like a camera or some motion detection lights. A few days later, I received a phone call from the police. They told me everything about Steve and how his real name was actually Brandon. They also told me that he was suspected of murdering 3 other people in similar situations and that he was going to get charged and I would have to come into court to give my testimony. 3 years later, and Brandon was sentenced to death for 3 murders and multiple robbery charges. I was no more than 5 minutes away from being murdered by a serial killer that night. Be careful who you tell your address to.